What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today I'm gonna talk about an enchant that caught some strays recently, tanking its viability from the top of Deepwoken PvP all the way into the depths. It's still pretty good, but there's definitely a catch. Solar, an enchant that was very popular, was hit extremely hard, changing it from a constantly overpowered enchant to something only good if you meet certain conditions. Allow me to explain. Solar's insane fall from grace. Something that stayed the same, Solar's status effect never changed with all of these nerfs. Essentially, if the Solar status is inflicted on a player, it will reduce both tempo and ether gain of the target with its debuff. Alongside this, if the Solar user vents and the vent hits that debuff target, it will steal tempo from the debuff player and give it back to the user. So already, right off the bat, the Solar enchant works as a passive nerf that severely hurts your enemy's resource gains, and it really popped off after venting. I'd say it's one of those enchants that helps the user win more, incentivizing insane pressure and lockdown. If you are running a build focused around ether and tempo drain, you could have infinite resources while your enemy had nothing, and that was very aggressive gameplay. Continued pressure was incentivized and still is, since the Solar status would always be active, debuffing the enemy and buffing up the user. Anyway, it's been hit with a severe nerf, deleting Solar as a consistent option and forcing players to use it in a certain way to obtain its buff. Instead of applying the Solar debuff on every single M1, which keep in mind was insanely strong, Solar only applies when flourishing or hitting a critical. That seems easy enough, right? But that's where you're wrong. Against good players, certain critical attacks become completely obsolete or unusable and impossible to land if people know just how they work. For instance, just Kurita's kick critical is so astronomically weak and janky that you'll have a way harder time to get use out of the Solar enchant than any other option. It's also worth mentioning that a flourish isn't really consistent to pull off, and remember, you gotta vent to get full usage out of the Solar enchant. So now we gotta work for our tempo, and it's been hit really hard. But that leads me to my second observation, which I find pretty weird because it makes all of these nerfs, kind of, useless. Weapons with criticals that are multi-hit or easy to land make Solar essentially the same as its pre-nerf strength, and it's still very good. Rapier players are always landing crits, and it's extremely easy to always have Solar locked on your target regardless of the nerf, so again, this nerf did nothing to rapiers. So at the end of the day, Solar is a solid enchant, but now it's conditionally viable instead of constantly viable, only performing well on specific weapons. It's sad to see happen, but if you want to make full use out of Solar, you gotta use a weapon with a good crit. I'm not too sure if the age of Solar is over, but it's definitely fallen from the peak of Deepwoken enchants. Share your thoughts down below and tell me the best critical for the Solar enchant. As always, make sure to like and subscribe so we can hit 80k subs, and have a good one. It's Punchin' time.